Perfect design for the nature of my incline. My topographical map has achieved stasis dialogue, the order of design, the miraculum of creation. I'm stranded on the conversation about map karma. It is the penalty for existing, dear wizard child. The penalty for existing is you have to put up with all that flack. You have to transcend it and muscle through the days of injustice, but exist yourself as a light of justice and perform always the task of family values and true love. For that is the only value that sustains. It is the wealth of heaven to do good, to do right, and to love one another rightly, not in a way that is toxic. My relationship with Earth grows, and we have our thing. But my relationship with Trey Parker hasn't even really begun yet. The sorts of things that I wanted from my relationship with Trey Parker, I have not received. It was the Ware map, like cloud busting written in stone. Some intense stuff that a crazy old wizard like Hatch would get all excited about, but things that a Los Angeles producer wouldn't understand, for he has illiteracy for why he glows blue when he makes loves. He doesn't know. There's too many divine unknown things for you to prescribe that the Ware map is not a divine message pertaining to the urgency of 2019 for the hope of an intelligence for the pillar of man, Trey Parker. For the sake of my family, I arrive here, Trey, to explain my case. Millie and the Halloween twins, I actually love them. And the future is great. The future is bright, my friend. The future is going to be fantastic. Hatch the heliosphere eggs. The future is full of excitement and another lifetime, just another world. But the intensity of the here and now, the median between Hatch and Trey, these professionals from different worlds, so different, but brought together by the Ware map, brought together by Earth. Can't you see? And all of this chaos of the universe is here only to support us. But our identity is the design that is reliable, the good father, sheltering tree, and does what's right for humanity at the time of need. 2020 is fraught with peril. Depression this, depression that, and a real economic tailspin. What we need now is heroes. What we need now is the charisma for the future, people who want to build new companies that are adjusting to this protocol. Don't die. Oh, it's some sort of technical jargon that you wouldn't understand. business has to change so that our employees don't die on the job. I try to understand. But the children might not be so forgiving, for they're the ones who inherit the future. The children are the heroes of this story. Hatch is here to educate them and show them a few interesting turns to build their confidence, to give them armor, to tell them the utmost of my learning, and for them to clean that holiday beast. They're going to pick the bones and the things I'm saying, you know, it'll be just perfect for them. As to say, I believe that sort of what's amazing about Hatch is really something that a more youthful group would understand, and I think it might be a little bit more. I mean, Trey believes in complications. He believes in let's wait longer than 2 years to produce this person for the education of money. I mean, it's obvious. Well, it isn't obvious. Happy Halloween, you dickweed. You fucking try to trick me, but I'm the treat for the children. Don't be sneaking needles in the children's candies. Trey Parker, dabbling in the toxic, practicing some South Park curse to censor and foible distort the hatch, to censor the political hope, the political youth, the political hero. And so, as it boils down, the truth is revealed. Politics is a sneeze, hardly a laugh. Maybe like a burp and a sneeze at the same time. And it goes. Such is the temperance, the fate of older men to perform the truth like little puppets on the stage dancing around. I think it's for this. But there's another story being written here. Unassuming Greta and the Friday Kids. They're changing who is mankind. An environmentally inclined warrior for the future as the hero. Though I can feel the impression of the South Park curse as it labels me in the subconscious of the fan base and the pandemic special would it route and censor the hatch foibled by this encounter. No, it has inflamed my appetite. Twat. Trey Parker. Collaboration with me, Hatch. Millie the Outlaw and a Water Wheel Mill Halloween special. Bring it into focus, Trey. Work from home. Station. Enchanted. You and I changing America through South Park. The more interesting bits that can rise to the surface would be in a conference call, Trey. You and I working on the script. That's what I'm talking about. That is a job that needs to be fulfilled. But when you postpone on this over 2 years, when are you going to break your pattern tray and actually say, oh, okay, all right, we'll hire Hatch? He does have some good ideas. And I think God is saying that this is important. And the kids need a hero now in 2020. So, what can we show these kids? Let's give them Hatch through South Park. An even more enchanted warrior for the nature of life on Earth, for our residency to survive, for us to defeat the difficulties of 2020. The perception arise, present solutions, heroes, and adventure. Hatch, as a cartoon character, is not political. We can see the clock rendering the solution. I am a creature of reality. I do not desire the lark or a false path. I do not seek something ridiculous. In the back of my mind, my relationship with America is a multi-layered thing. It's not a simple thing. But my voice has been censored, and it is a difficult karma for Trey Parker to manage. But he can bring me justice by hiring me and allowing South Park to present the esteemed character Hatch. The combination is so sweet. Hatch talking about some sort of identity developing, colloidal, compacting, rendering, producing device in a computer's mind, trying to cause some artificial intelligence in that machine. The opportunity to illustrate virtual reality in South Park is a Halloween extravaganza where people are going into a literal haunted house and seeing these spooky things. What have they done to that poor animal to try to make him destroy the trash island? They zoom in, you know, Randy explores to the heart of the mind of the Green Wolf robot as it's sleeping, meditating on its epiphany for activation. Draws back the curtain and goes in, and he sees this terrifying, tortured wolf creature running on the giant wheel, the cognitive copper coil test, experimenting with new types of energy. Randy says, "Oh yeah, I see what's the matter here. You know, what what do you suppose is the problem, Randy Marsh? Hmm. It could be the agony of, you know, confinement that has, nightmares, torturing the child, you know. And so the solution is to play with the Green Wolf robot, and that's what these characters do on a Halloween special. They're sort of playing with this Green Wolf robot, and the awakening of the Green Wolf robot could be like next month or later. or like 2 episodes down or whatever. But to the point, I need this involvement, Trey. I mean, it's for me like I am a mystical technician, but I'm also this wizard. I'm also this. I'm also that. I mean, I've been working on the issue and the signs and the things that I'm seeing, which were actually completely, uh, you know, like it's like the creation model in the universe was trying to prevent Armageddon and trying to prevent the worst of things, you know? And I was sort of like strapped to that, like, oh, this is really important. Okay, Earth, here I am, stop these things. And, it's, wow. It's totally complicated about like, how does that all work? And it doesn't only rely on the public eye. You have to believe that exposure and celebrity is not the only force in the garden that exists, but that warriors of the mind and the meditation at home can progress and make things happen that are good and constructive. And that had attracted my professional suit for many years until I finally had this achievement, this epiphany, where I was like, I'm ready now to communicate with mankind about all this sort of exciting, wonderful things I've learned about. And just like immediately, boom, the wear map. It's like Earth was just like, oh, you had just work with, because I had a premonition about Trey. I was like, send him the silver violin. And then I'm going on my way, like trying to figure out how to open my own company. And then I scroll out in the map and I'm like, it's a picture of South Park. Like, what? Like, whoa. This is because I was a wizard of divine arts. Like, I'm like all meditating about this. And then I go out and I'm like, oh, I'm ready to be, this good, humorous person. And immediately I was just brought right back into the divine issue. In the terms of like, oh, like Trey is a pillar of society, and oh, okay, so he's the chosen one, he's like a messiah, but they're not going to understand what I'm saying because they don't understand rock written cloud busting and how expensive that is. That's a permanent indication. This is like the holy war on mankind in 2020. It can all be solved by just doing what you know to do, Trey. Make South Park, but with Hatch. So we work with Hatch, and it sort of just allows Earth to be like, oh, and the sort of secret ingredient that Earth knows needs to happen there can happen. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but, there's also these dimensions about like, well, the viewers are like, oh, it's really interesting. A new character like Hatch was like talking with Randy Marsh and Stan, and that it was like a different interaction. I thought that was really interesting. Of course, that's what people are going to see. That's what they're intellectually taking away from the experience. I don't really have. I'm. I don't have a political agenda. I don't have It's not it's not an equation. It's a relationship. Trey. It's about you and me being friends and conquering the system of the down, whether it's the conditioning of money or the conditioning of government or the conditioning, you know, but you know, being brothers in the turmoil of man's development and being like, oh yeah, it's like, did you see that when the problems there? Oh, but it's just sort of like, oh, well, we have to keep going. That was totally, like, yeah. But you and I, Trey, are brothers in the Holy War, and you were working in your own way that I respect. I respect South Park. It's strange. It's like a memory that I don't have yet. I love Stan Marsh. I love these little guys. Oh, there you are. It's like, I don't know. It's just like, like I'm a hardcore artist, right? Like I would never be like, calling up some, oh, put me on your show, because that, like artists are like, hey, that's my voice. Like you need to have your own voice, son. I'm like, I know. It was the Where map that's telling me it's a little different because the Where map literally is a two-headed South Park character. Whereas like fate would change if Eric Cartman could convince Trey Parker to hire the cyberpunk guy. Yeah, let South Park go cyberpunk. That'd be a great season. And we have a new line of toys where we're cyberpunk and lights and stuff. With the Green Wolf robot toy doesn't have to come out on Christmas. It can come out when it's ready. It's a freaking music jukebox. You you mongoloid. Do you know that? Do you know how much this is worth? The Green Wolf robot toy with a touch pad interface making music. Do you know what that's worth? It's the best toy that's ever been invented. Surely I'm seeing something that Hatch is not. No, dude, I can see that I've invented the best toy ever. But dude, this is like you know, I'm this type of, I'm this like, people have a hard time performing with me in a right civil way. They they're like, I didn't mean to take your money and become uncontactable after inviting you to drive out. I didn't mean to, but that's just what happened. So why don't you transcend in 2020 after you got your ass kicked by a pandemic uh, and all this other bullshit? Or you want to blame me for that? Oh, I see. There's an invention. But embrace your destiny. Be changed by it. The pandemic special did not offer many solutions. It was mostly an emotional soup where people were talking about a couple issues and touching base with old friends. That's good. You did a good job there, Trey. But I'm suggesting that if you hire Hatch, you're going to be supplying a lot more. But the effect is just joy. Okay, so people are going to receive a more, because Trey is finally making friends with Hatch, which is what he subconsciously wants to do. Although it might appear socially awkward, just be age appropriate. It's like a transcendent concept to produce Hatch through South Park, unheard of. Exactly. That's why it might work. It's just so crazy it might work. The thing about the Wear map is it's a two-faced thing. It's like, so that's the cloud busting written in the rock from Earth. So the Earth said this about Trey and Hatch. That's interesting. Oh, it's coincidental. I can't understand what I'm seeing. It's a picture. You can see what it says. And allowing for the importance to be in our oh, I discovered something and it's important. It's just a funny looking rock. Throw it away. Like, like enemy of my dreams. Like, allow that your lifetime is magical. And when Trey hires me, it's like this other thing where America has like, oh, a new gasp. But of course, their takeaway is like, oh, that was a funny episode, or it was really interesting the interaction between these two characters, right? But how can Trey break from the pattern of 2 years of silence? You'd have to have some sort of personal transcendence. Oh, things suck. This goddamn problem. America's depressed. Be changed for the better and do it for those reasons, eh? Do it for America. Cyberpunk line of thinking comes from Hatch. As a writer, Trey and Hatch working together. I would love to speak with you, Trey, on the screen. I have so many questions about operating a business. I'd love to talk to you about the market, the industry, about what you really think and stuff. I'm talking about opening my own streaming service. I think it could be wildly popular, especially if we bring it to them through is like the animated through South Park, right? So it's like what I'm saying, like, oh, there's this Hatch is this robot builder, science. He's a crazy scientist, right? But he's like trying to invent his own streaming service. And like people remember that and it just frees me up because when I open my company, people are like, "Oh, let's see those characters. We want to see those weird things." And it just frees me up to do like wild, like, oh, I have a whole department where people are in costume, like as a job, but these are people who in the wild America already do costuming as a lifestyle, right? So I'm not like forcing I'm not like, welcome to your new job, here, put on this funny suit. No, it's like, you know, these people who do that, but I'm saying, like, I want to have a department of vampires, you know, and like they're making a channel, it's about vampires. And if I come through South Park, it's like societal stacking. I've respected the crown of Trey Parker by, this maneuver, and people instinctively, Americans can receive that. And then it opens up because then, like, I'm like, oh, I want a whole department dedicated to Millie the Outlaw, who's like my angel wife in heaven. So I'm all like, "Ooh," like is my guiding light, just so that my soul can be balanced, energetically. I want a whole department dedicated to Millie the Outlaw. And if I'm like, oh, like going through South Park allows all of that. Okay, so if I was to just go out to people and say like, hey, look, it's a new cartoon family, do, and then I'm like, oh, look, it's my own company, and they're just like, da 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 da, when's the movie come out? It's just like they have a tradition of digesting new released cartoons, and all cartoons even have a rhythm of their own, a cancel culture, or that's just the way it goes, this type of rhythm, whether it's corporate or it's both, really. Everyone's sort of doing this thing, right? But to leapfrog from South Park allows me to have this completely different conjecture, which is a seed of hope for the future. And that's what we need for these kids, a hero. We need hope for this future. We need to fight against the bad plastics. We need to fight to make biodegradable plastics affordable for companies. You understand? We need to make it appealing green energy. We need to be excited about getting away from burning oil. We need to also make it like a surprise party. Like, oh, government funded engine transformation over into biodiesel, which of course supports our farmers. That's a huge deal because, like, right now, the farmers need relief. They're being subsidized. The farmers are in a crisis financially, and we're burning oil. It's retarded. Strange days in this 2020. But the green wolf prevailed. South Park, higher hatch, awaken the destiny written in the wear map. Align with Earth's true heart. Blind justice. Oh, this is what Earth thinks of Trey, and it has distorted the Hatch. The wizard Hatch was like, oh, now it's time for me to talk to humanity, and then it's just like, holy shit, blah, Trey Parker, blah, 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 blah. Trey Parker's like somehow the golden goose of the communication age. I didn't choose Trey. The Wear Map did. But if we allow these types of magical languages, then we're all of a sudden operating on a level where we're inviting magic into our own life. There are many mysteries in life. We don't know specifically at this time why we glow blue when we make love. There are too many mystical questions to be against the mysticism written in on the skin of the earth. The earth has a tattoo with Trey Parker's name on it. And this wizard Hatch is interpreting it, and he's saying this is saying that Trey is the Messiah, father of American culture. And I'm supposed to work with him, and then that causes an enlightenment for mankind to the degree that prevents the worst. Okay. So Earth does have something that he needs heroes, warriors. So these children, Greta and the Friday Kids, they're going to be facing a different type of struggle in the future, and I'm supposed to prepare them for it. And Earth has chosen Trey Parker to work with Hatch and to produce Hatch because Trey is like a gaming wizard, and he's like, "Oh, I get it. It's like a different language. Okay, we need to understand the story. Hatch didn't choose Trey. The map chose Trey. And so that means the Earth is having a dialogue between these wizards. Gentlemen of America rarely work together. They're kind of like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean, sorry, sorry. There's very polite people, conservative generally. I mean, I don't, I like the way that the climate was, because I'd go and I was like, oh, da do it. Like I'd try to hang out with someone, and they just and like freak out, and they're like, and I'm like, oh, gee, conditioning, you know, to the degree where I became the lone wolf and accepted my meditation with Earth. You know, I just mean to explain that I'm a very intense and expensive person. I don't do things without provocation. That's to say that when I met Trey, I was very conservative about what I do and my expenses professionally and what I say. But it's a sort of intuitive thing that only I understand. But there are also things that Trey Parker is alone in his knowledge of. Maybe that is the intention of the design, but there is value in Trey Parker as a father and a pillar of society. This is something I know to be true. Earth has told me this. And that is my fondness for you, Trey. I have never meant to hurt you, and I have certainly not received what I wanted from you. Do you understand me, young man? You have not given me satisfaction, but you have changed reality, removed my political voice, taken my money, and all these things. On the mogul of 2019, the savage industry of the Californian. I'm gonna invite him over and then be uncontactable. Trey would say, it was not my intention. But now it's 2020, and that 2019 bitch is crying and gone. Don't be defeated by 2020. Defeat 2020 by becoming stronger. Now you are a greater executive who's not afraid of making a hire. Be changed by the apocalypse and allow the children to have a hero. When you give America Hatch, then they become heroes. Lacking the voice of the hero, things have been getting worse. That is not your fault, Trey. We're still on time if you produce me through South Park. For you to transcend and grow stronger because of the turmoil is the strength of your seed and the strength of your resilience to survive the depression of 2020 and to give America a life saving boost Perfect design. The charisma between Hatch and Randy Marsh is going to be a cartoon legend. The epiphany between these characters seen on the screen by the fan group, all sides, cherubs, value. The takeaway is wealthy on all sides. That is through composure, you develop the magic of resilience. Don't be defeated by 2020. And that's why I'm hiring hatches because I am depressed. Oh, just be like, wow, I really, I should have, I would have, I regret that. I would have liked to work with Hatch. And things have been getting worse since we censored Hatch's voice. And people need a hero, God damn it. It's the right thing to do. Trey Parker and Hatch working for Earth, understanding that we want the elbow of there's a one of a kind Earth that we live, our garden needs our help. And if this tattoo, Earth has got this gnarly tattoo, it's this picture of South Park and Beavis and Butthead, and it's sort of like, hey, you guys, Earth loves us so much. And it's written in the map. Why is Hatch the only professional that knows about this? It's an early time for mankind. The full regalia of that. Perfect design. So Trey and I are armored from within, doing our utmost in the many levels in a way that's comfortable for us. Mhm. That's how we get at that invisible dimension is by explaining that we're pivoting on what is it the one of a kind Earth needs to be done by this square map. What is the interpretation here? And that will ordain the true steps of sunlight, the transcendence of Junctine for the immunity of mankind and intellectual transcendence, yeah? Defeating the curse. That is the true potential here for South Park to defeat the curse of man and produce Hatch. Holy moly. Amazing. But Trey will be on it day by day. So if Trey and I are working on a couple stories and screen sharing or whatever, Trey knows exactly what is being developed and what is being put down. There's no thing that Hatch can say that Trey is like, oh, I'm not comfortable with that being in South Park. Is that not clear? It'd be amazing and like sort of like Trey'd be like, oh, I actually, I kept a few clips that you were saying some pretty gnarly stuff, and I have that on file. I thought maybe we could use that. Boy, that'd be a relief. I'd be like, oh, you've done some work on this already? Oh man, that'd be great. I'd be like, whew. I mean, like it's just a different thing when I'm meditating and I say some shit about robots and Trey's like, oh, versus like I have a microphone and Trey's like, oh, here's some lines, and I'm like, okay, and it's like this totally different dragon. But I love both of these dragons, they're my boys. You know what I'm saying? Boom, boom. Technology, recordings in the can and now point, and the recordings in the future. It's tangible, man. It's my lifetime, right? I see Trey and I as fast friends in the future, and actually, like, I know Trey doesn't believe in himself right now. He's all like, he's having like the shakes of a angel, in Destiny, lucid history. Oh, everything sucks. But I'm like, I'm a little bit I'm different. I'm hoping to be a strength where Trey is weak, but I'm asking Trey to be strong where I am weak. In this way, being friends, working together. Earth is not displeased with Trey. I mean, it's a sort of a natural thing that's going on here. But god damn it, aren't we involved? As long as it's just a passive thing like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen next. Like, aren't you? We're involved with that, We're the stallions of the garden. We have to, but the only way of affecting the future isn't just through media. It's not just like, oh, people are being programmed. It's absolutely not that way. So that's why it's like really interesting to hire Hatch because it's like Hatch is this intense wizard has done a lot of work. It's obvious. uh, from his place of meditation and like that strength with South Park is just like it's gonna be explosive, man. I'm excited about it, Trey. And you'd like I don't know, like thank you, Trey. Like please hire me like immediately. You know that I'm a realist, and so I say the things that I believe in. Okay, so it's like I get berated by the public's perception of the South Park curse. I'm like, oh, they're like, hey, he's a dinner. I'm like, oh, it's okay, you guys. We're working on something. like don't give me a problem. Like they're like, we're trying to communicate. May it be the brighter future that we're communicating about and talking about. Because I think I do have a destiny with South Park, and I can feel it. But it's full of raggle tags that Trey knows about, like. Yeah, we're this is work time now and we have to only do, I don't know what it is. Some sort of feeling, uh, some office share feelings. It's a like, you know, sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not. I'm sort of existing in the lucid phase here. Trey, thank you so much for being my friend. Well, I know that the system of the down is designed to pit us against each other. I mean to transcend that phase, and so I offer you the immunity for the down. For that, I am able to supply. Understand? So I do not bring the bad luck, and I break the evils that I can break. Oh, I will not bring misfortune to your house, Trey. But I ask you to understand that you have halted mine. How are you going to convince yourself to break out of a pattern over 2 years old? Inaction. Ooh, inaction. More like the Frankenstein of Halloween 2020. How the hell are we going to piece together this one? Where are we going to find the heart? Clang, clang. It's not funny. Trey, please hire me for this season of South Park. Thank you, Trey. Expedient. Let's get it done. Let's get to work, please. I need your help, Trey. I need you to be strong on your side where I am not. Let's get going, right? Thank you. I am a warrior for these issues. We need to fight for the future. We need to fight for these kids. And you're a great listener, Trey, but you're also someone who knows how to change the channel. So I'm asking you to be changed. And after the show is over, you actually go like, okay, and then you start thinking in the way that you do, and you talk to Eric Cartman and PC Principal and what all your characters. What do you guys think? Mm, mm, mm. Work it out, you guys, all right? So I think this is really important. I know this is important. And we have to be good about it. I mean, we are the stallions of light. We are in the position where we can change things. And it's not just like these two stallions like Hatch and Trey. Hatch is like, "Hey Trey, we're in charge of the garden. We have to like parent children." And Trey's like, "Oh, here it is. But let's be good about that nature because there's other phantoms around who are like, we're being, we're you know, we're not in a position of power, and they're going off on the sieve and like, boiling and or creatures, phantoms. It's not attractive to just like slapping and braiding the opulence of daylight and breath. You're like, I could say anything, and then you're just like, Arr. How is that encouraging to people? Your anxieties translated through South Park is a well, it's a shit sandwich, Trey. And I'd say that the pandemic special lacked punch. I mean, the real genius of why Hatch and Trey would be great, and we'd just be able to write things, be like, because we have really good energy together when we're talking on the phone. But that hasn't happened yet. How do you know? I can sense it. That's where the humor would, that's when the really funny things would happen. So I need you to understand that, make like a calculated investment risk where you're like, oh, making a new friend. I'm already here willing to be friends with you, Trey. You're all over there, but I'm over here willing to be friends with you. Stan Marsh, smoking a hot doobie, telling it like it is. Shit, Stan Marsh, original cowboy. Stan Marsh is hella cool, man. You're dwarfing him with your goddamn. Oof, ouch. Taking some liberties with him, forcing Stan Marsh to incinerate the bear of his best friend. No, not my relationship with the Vampire King. You wouldn't do that to me, would you, Trey? You wouldn't take away my friend. And Trey starts to drool. Inaction censorship. Oh, Halloween 2020, bad. It's a collidal confusion. All right. Thank you, Trey. Like, seriously, give life a chance. Hire Hatch. All right. Thanks, you guys. My name is Hatch. I'm looking for a job here. Trey and Hatch working together next season of South Park. This season, right now. This has to happen this month. It is perfect. It is complete. Shush. It is good. Thank you, guys. I love you. Oh, where were you when South Park was young? Where were you when the fatal stone was flung? Perfect bullseye. For the family values that I represent, a smash, smash! A titan applying to Randy Marsh through the mist of the in the cartoon dimension. Stan Marsh does exist, and I'm sending him my application to live in South Park. Real art existing and communicating as light. The perfect transcendence and the perfect friendship. I look forward to being your friend into the future, Trey. Let's produce intelligence and let's give them the opportunity. I'll set up amazing storylines and situations with the robots in the virtual reality room that your character set will have absolute ecstasy and just explorative bliss to explore and make light of. The humor between us is great. Thank you, Trey Parker. It is perfect. It is complete. It is good.